Now with the BBC News at 10, Clive Myrie.
Tonight at 10, it was one of the biggest experiments in social engineering, but now China is to end its one-child policy. Official figures say an estimated 400 million births were prevented by the rule, an unprecedented intrusion into people's private lives.
I did fall pregnant for a second time, but I had an abortion.
China has long tried to manipulate its population levels, but now the current low birth rate threatens its economic future.
Tonight, 1.3 billion people have been told something very significant. Anyone who wants to can have that second child.
But will the change be enough to safeguard prosperity, or is China growing old too quickly? Also on tonight's programme. A candlelit vigil is held for the teenager Bailey Gwynn, stabbed to death at a school in Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's very nice. It didn't deserve anything like what happened. Just unexpected, really.
I'm shocked, and I didn't know how to cope at the time, and it was difficult, but I don't know how the school's going to recover from it.
7 years and 2 million words later, the Chilcot inquiry into the Iraq War will be published next summer, but many are angry at the continuing delay.
And it's showtime down at Bristol's bombed-out Temple Church, where, as you can see, people are going to be getting funky in this brand new art installation in the heart of the old ruin.
On BBC London, the government rejects proposals to build a mega mosque in Newham, ending a long-running planning row. And police hunt a serial sex attacker who's believed to have struck 8 times in recent weeks.
Good evening. After a 4-day meeting of the Chinese Communist Party, the country has decided to scrap its controversial one-child policy. For almost 40 years, couples threatened with fines, forced sterilization or abortions limited the number of children they had. The policy was introduced in 1979 to stop a population boom, but as people are now living longer and with a low birth rate, there are real fears about the future state of the economy. Today, it was announced couples can have 2 children if they wish. Some have celebrated the change as a positive step towards greater personal freedoms, but critics say the Communist Party still plays far too prominent a role in people's private lives. Well, our correspondent John Sudworth reports now from Rudong in eastern China.
From great-great-grandmother down through 5 generations, this family is a perfect example of China's population crisis. There's only one great-great-grandchild. It's a story of pain and loss that could be told at hundreds of millions of dinner tables. I did fall pregnant for a second time, Jiang Xinping tells me, but I had an abortion.
Did you have a choice?
I couldn't keep it, she replies. You either go willingly or the government comes for you. The county of Rudong in eastern China once won national praise for its strict enforcement of the one-child policy. Today, its closed-down schools stand as haunting monuments to the missing children. The lifeblood has been drained from this economy. There won't be enough young new workers. In terms of age profile, Rudong is now the oldest place in China and a symbol of why the policy had to change. Gao Dechuan's only child lives far away. His others were never born because his wife was forced to abort them. My biggest concern is what will happen to me when I can't look after myself, he tells me. China's obsession with birth control began with Chairman Mao, but it only became national law after his death. Few policies anywhere can have affected so many lives so profoundly. In recent years, the one-child policy has been significantly relaxed with an increasing number of exceptions and exemptions. But until now, there's been a reluctance to completely let go of what has become a totem of Communist Party rule. Tonight, 1.3 billion people have been told something very significant. Anyone who wants to can have that second child. How many couples will take up the opportunity, though, is a different question. Having only one child has become the cultural norm, and critics say the change is too little, far too late.
For people who are born 1980s, 1990s, they don't want to, even they don't want to have children. They want to maybe one. For the second children, they will say too costly.
And for any woman who wants more than 2 children, the Communist Party's control, coercion and abuse will continue. John Sudworth, BBC News, Rudong.
Well, with me now is our China editor, Carrie Gracie. Carrie, this was a colossal experiment in social engineering. Just how important then is today's announcement by the Chinese Communist Party?
It's impossible to exaggerate. It is a huge day for China. And when I think about all the lives it affects, it's just unimaginable, Clive. I know little boys who are only alive today because their ultrasound said they were going to be a boy. I know families where little girls died mysterious undiagnosed deaths and were never spoken of again. I know women who suffer now lifelong gynecological problems because they hid out in the hills in order to evade the family planning trucks coming around to do the forced abortions. And I know families who are still to this day struggling to pay off the fines that were inflicted on them, that they incurred for defying the one-child policy. So there really isn't anyone who it doesn't affect, because even those who have been born, even those who are alive, the lucky ones, the lucky single children who are alive today, they now suffer considerable psychological burden from having 2 parents and 4 grandparents breathing down their neck, repeatedly telling them how they've given up everything to house, clothe, educate them, and on whom all the expectations are hung. And they now have to look after those people in old age. And I think that is actually what's driving this policy, not the consideration for those families and those individuals, but hard economic necessity. The Chinese Communist Party has decided that its workforce is shrinking too fast and that it is in danger of China getting old before it gets rich, an ageing population which cannot contribute and which is too burdensome to support.
OK, Carrie, many thanks. Carrie Gracie there. Now, a special